begin, let me ask you a question. Are you in charge of your mindset, or is your mindset in charge of you? Many people say that women can't do certain things that men can. But I ask, why not? I'm sure if we as women put our minds to it, we'll be able to do it, and maybe even better than men. Growing up, I did all kinds of sports, be it swimming, football, rowing, basketball, badminton, and even rugby. I know, crazy, right? Rugby's gotta be the most out-of-the-blue sport I've ever taken part in, and I'm glad I only did it for a year or two. However, the point I'm trying to make here is what happened outside of playing these sports. People that I knew of, friends, relatives, they would say, rugby isn't a sport for a girl, or it's not fitting for a girl of your height. Now, I may have not liked the sport, but it's people like that that can really change your mindset and the way we perceive the world. Even though I did stop playing, I didn't do it because I thought it was a man's game. I left out of my own choice and lack of interest in the sport, and not for someone else's opinion. I also enjoy doing ballet, and just recently I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and it was about how I have my ballet mocks coming up and how I was so nervous for it. But what really put me off was how he reacted to me doing ballet. He would pass comments like, "How come you do ballet? You're so short, how do you even jump?" This is just my personal experience. There could be millions of people out there going through similar or worse situations. Because even though the world has modernized, not our mindsets. When you really think about it, yeah, men and women, they are different. But that's just in the physical aspect. Because if we are considering this, then yes, by all means, we are completely different. But that doesn't mean that we're not capable of achieving the same things. Let's start from the beginning. Primarily, the man of the family would be the one who would work and bring food on the table, whereas the burden of cooking and cleaning and taking care of the kids fell on the women's shoulders. Now, personally, I think this is a very black and white way of thinking. At the time, however, people were not aware of that. And even if they were, either the women were too afraid to speak up or the men thought of it, but it didn't affect them, so they saw no reason to bring it up. Nowadays, in most families, not only does the man work, but so does the women. And in some cases, the roles are switched. The man cooks and cleans, whereas the woman works. Now, it's not rare that the man and the women switch roles. But what is rare is that it was a willing choice. Aside from this, nowadays, families go with their own choice and opinions rather than getting muddled up by what others expect of them. If they want to work, they can work. If they want to cook, they can cook. If they want to do both, they can do both. It does not matter. What matters is if the person is given the opportunity to choose what they want to do. Now, I'm not saying that the next big thing is that now both partners have to work, or now the man has the job of cooking and cleaning instead of the women. No, I'm simply saying that we should evolve our mindsets. As you can see behind me are some famous female leaders, and in the middle is Kamala Harris, and I'm sure many of you recognize her. But what you've not been aware of is that she is the first female vice president amongst the other 48 before her. USA being such a highly developed country, and yet she was the first. That even globally, only 25.5% are women in parliaments, whereas the other 74.5% are men. We have come a long way since this gender stereotype, but still a long way to go. Majority don't say anything against this injustice because it either benefits them or they're conveniently being ignorant. However, I want to change this way of living, and we can only be successful by changing the mentality of the generations to come. But that doesn't mean that we wait until the future generation turns around and questions us why we didn't do anything about it. We have to start in the here and now. So what are we waiting for? Now, phrases such as, "you're pretty good at it for a girl," or "man up," are some of the root causes as to why I'm even making this speech. And before I go on, yes, I do know you can't say women up. But tell me, how often do you find someone tell that to a girl when she's found crying? Not often, right? What I don't understand is, why is it that we think in such ways? Because I'm not seeing a lot of good coming out of it. Do you? Everything has to start from somewhere. So why don't we start by exposing the next generation and the ones to come, not to look at the world from a man's point of view, not of a woman's, but of a human's point of view. We need to expose the boys and the girls of the past, present, and future that it's okay to do what they want to do. In the man's case, they don't have to work just because they're the man. And in the women's, they shouldn't be expected to stay at home instead of aspiring towards achieving their dreams. Coming back to the question I asked you in the beginning, are you in charge of your mindset, or is your mindset in charge of you? Thank you.